Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Yovanov. It's time to head back to the UK, and today we're going to be talking about new musicals, one of my favorite things to do. We are speaking with the founder of the website New UK Musicals, Darren Clark. Darren, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's great. I loved how we're going to talk a little bit about it later, but you reached out to me to, promote these new musicals that you're going to be talking about. But before we do any of that, I always ask my guests to give me their 30-second bio. Who is Darren in 30 seconds?
30-second bio. I'm a folk songwriter originally. Paul Simon, Joni Mitchell, James Taylor, those guys, who was also a musical theatre performer. And at one point I was offered the chance to write a song for a musical theatre performance, and I just got the bug for writing from there. Joined communities over here, won some awards, won some prizes, got some shows on. Kept on writing and still writing now, and now like trying to do my best to promote the entire community of the new UK musical situation, which I think needs improvement. But yeah, great.
Fantastic. That's what we want to hear. Just the new stuff and champions of the new musicals, right? So have you always been into musicals when you were growing up? Was that something that you were into, or was that something you developed a little bit later?
Actually, like when I was young, so we had three, back when there were cassette tapes. We had three tapes, or two or three tapes in our car. And on every car journey, we would listen to either Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat or Les Mis, the 10-year anniversary cast, both of which my mum got when she was over in England originally. I'm from New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
And so I grew up listening to those two musicals and know every single word, and have played every single part in my mind. And then as I was growing up, I was becoming I saw my brother perform in West Side Story when he was 15, the school musical, and he just seemed to have such a good time that I was like, well, I want to do it when I'm old enough to do it. So I auditioned for Guys and Dolls, and I was a very, very underweight Nicely Johnson in that. And that was really the beginnings of it all for me. When I went to university, I was studying classical studies, and I auditioned for the New Zealand production or Dunedin production of Les Mis, and got into that. And that Dunedin Operatic became my home for about 5 years. I didn't really go to university classes. I just went to rehearsals. And at the same time, I'd been learning guitar, and writing little ditties, little folk ditties, since I was about 15, 16. And but for example, I'd never heard of Sondheim. I didn't hear of his musicals really, apart from, obviously my brother had done West Side Story. I didn't know Sondheim was anything to do with that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was about 33, 34 when I started doing BML, which is this sort of the equivalent of the BMI workshop in New York, over here, that I even heard about him and heard about all of that music, and then all of this, Jason Robert Brown and all of these other people sort of started hitting my radar, Adam Gettel, and I became so I listened to a lot more. But I always loved musicals, but I had a very limited idea of what they were.
Nothing. Did you get the role in Les Mis you wanted?
You know what? I really did. I did. I was playing Grantaire, the drunk student.
Nice.
The drink with me. It was one everyone wanted it, and I was like, I nailed it.
Well, you had every word memorized. How could you not have nailed it, right?
Exactly. I literally went into that audition knowing the entire show. So
nice. So when did you start writing your own stuff? You said that you wrote a song for a musical. How did that come about? Was that the transition into it?
It was really so I started writing, I think I wrote my first song with lyrics when I was about 17 or 18. So I played the guitar and I sang. I wasn't a good singer, I don't think, but I trained myself over many years and then had training. But then it was when I was about 27, 28, and I was my girlfriend was in a show at her local amateur dramatic society. I'd moved to London by that point. And she was in this show and she was talking to the director, and the director was saying, like, it'd be really great if we could have like a little sort of a Christmas number for this show that I'm writing. Does anyone know anyone who writes songs? And Kate was like, oh, I do. And, my boyfriend writes songs, but he's not written for a musical or like for theatre before. But he loves theatre, and so I met up with this director, and we went along, and I wrote this song. And of course, I had a sort of a theatrical background, but it never mixed the two.
Yeah.
And it was then really, it was such a wonderful experience of, as opposed to going to a pub where I'm playing your songs where no one's listening, everyone's drinking, and everyone's talking and shouting over you. It was so nice to be in a theatre where everyone was sat down quietly listening to all the painstaking effort you'd put into the lyrics and the tune, etc. And so that's where it started really. And with that director, I wrote 2 musicals at that Amateur Dramatic Society Putney Arts Theatre put on. And that was where I got my first taste of what it was like to write a show. The sort of epic nature of show writing. And then I started like looking for a community, because I didn't know anyone else who wrote songs. Had no idea of, I thought I was unique. Turns out I was not unique in any way, shape, or form. And so joined this community of book music lyrics, and met some of the sites, the writers on the site. New UK Musicals are people I met in that first workshop. 2 of the tutors actually on the site are also on there, Tim Sutton and Jason Carr. So the guys who taught me how to write songs for theatre are on that site, which is absolutely lovely.
Nice. And what was that like the first time you wrote a show and you got to see it up there? Because I know when you write your first show, it's great you don't know anything, but you don't know anything, and anything's possible because you don't know what mistakes you're making, because you don't know what the mistakes are, right? What was that like, writing that first show and then seeing it up on the stage in front of you?
It was wonderful. I thought it was a work of genius. I thought it was just the pinnacle of musical theatre writing. I don't think I'm unique in that people, when people have written their first show, they go like, this is gonna be on Broadway. It's just a matter of time now. And of course it wasn't. It wasn't anywhere near anything approaching great, but it had something. And I thought at the time, and the cast and the audience did think it. We loved doing it, and it was fun, and it was such a joy. I remember that was the first time I heard someone else sing my songs, and that was something real special.
Yeah.
Like, so another voice, and it suddenly a song felt real. Like whenever it was me singing, it felt like, oh, it's just me in my bedroom writing a thing, and then there's the song, and but it's not real.
Yeah.
And then you're in a rehearsal room with these guys, and they're singing your music, and you go, oh my God, that's a person who can sing, who's singing this song, and they're making it something that you didn't necessarily intend it to be. And it was just wonderful. It was wonderful.
That's cool. Yeah, and I love hearing the first works of people, because, and let's be honest, not everything's going to be fantastic or great or even good sometimes, but I love listening to an entire show and you can hear that one song that has that something, and it's that song that makes you want to hear their next show.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I hear it like when I'm listening to other writers' songs and their shows, seething with envy and jealousy at like the way they've done something, and just thinking, God, how wonderful it would have been to have been able to come up with that, like that lovely little chord change, or that thing that is just so uniquely them that whenever you hear it, you hear this thing, you go like, oh, I know who wrote that. I know them, and I know their voice, and I know their signature, and it's really thrilling.
And the funny part is they're thinking the exact same thing of you or somebody else. Oh, why didn't I think of that? How did they come? Like, it's so funny that, we're all envious of each other.
If we could be inside each other's brains, I think we'd probably be a lot happier. Or a lot more miserable, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, don't say. My girlfriend would not agree with that at all. She's always happy she can't get in my head. So let's talk about what is new UK musicals, and how did you come up with it?
Well, it was. I don't think it's. You probably realise it's not a unique idea in the world. A few years ago, I was looking at ways to get people to sing my songs more in auditions and cabarets and things like that. And occasionally, there'd be a show dedicated to new musicals, and you'd submit something, and then someone might sing you your song. But it wasn't sort of like you could go to a standard cabaret night and hear a song from a new show.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I was following a lot of Adam Guan out in New York,
mm-hmm.
loving his work, and saw that he was on a site called newmusicaltheatre.com. And I thought, oh, what a wonderful, wonderful thing. That's great. Like, I'm going to apply, see if I can apply to get on there. And I sent an email, but I never heard back. And to be honest, I'm not surprised, because they must get a lot of people applying to be part of the site.
For sure.
And also, like, I wasn't a particularly great writer at the time. I was doing okay, but I was no one knew who I was, certainly. And I thought, what a wonderful thing it would be to have something like that here, because certainly in America, New York, there seems to be a stronger sort of support scene for the path from create a new thing and get it on, whereas we here have a slightly more obscure path to that. And I wanted to make that path a little bit clearer,
mm-hmm.
Both for myself and for my colleagues whose work I really respected. And so I was talking with a bunch of them, including a fellow called Adam Lenson, who's a wonderful sort of advocate of new musical theatre over here. And we were talking about all the things that we could do to make ourselves more visible, grow an audience, etc., make producers think we're not such a risk. And I just said, well, I want to make, I want to do a website where people can get our music. And everyone was like, great, fantastic, let's do that. And sort of time went by, and we were all still writing and too busy doing that stuff. And it kind of, it was always in the back of my mind, but it got put to the side. And then lockdown happened. Then the someone in Wuhan ate a bat, and I finally had some time, because my shows were cancelled and rehearsals were, no longer happening. I had time to do things that I would not normally do, and so I thought, well, now is the time. So I reached out to some writers, and sort of, it was all on the hoof, all on the fly. I said I was going to do it, and then I had to do it. And I said it on social media, and then I had to do it.
That's the problem. Once you said you're going to do something, now I got to commit to it. Yeah.
And now I've got to do it. So I was just reaching out to those writers who I really respected and liked, and then everything just grew sort of organically. Everything was on the fly, on the hoof, and over time I've had to develop a business model, which is not entirely sustainable at all. So lots of things, marketing, business work, the website, building the database itself. I learned all of these things, taught myself all these things throughout time, because I had the time, because I was interested in it.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So how does it work? If I am, I have an audition coming up in 2022, because that's going to be the next one. How does it work if I'm looking for a song or something like that?
Well, so depending on what you can search through by either listening to our playlists. So we've got Spotify playlist or SoundCloud playlist, YouTube playlists. All of the songs are on there, so you can kind of put something on in the background, and while you're you're cleaning the dog or whatever people do in Canada in particular.
That's all we do over here.
That's all you do.
I don't know how you picked that out, but yes, that's all I do. Okay,
Yeah.
just as a side note, because sometimes we go on a sidebar, there is a town in southern Ontario in Canada here that has a dog/car wash.
No,
And not only one, but they have 3 of them.
that's brilliant. I mean, I think there must be a market for it.
I don't. In this town where my brother-in-law is from has 3 dog/car washes, and I kind of want to go to it at some point. Well, thank you for bringing that up and making Canada look like a bunch of weirdos.
My pleasure. My pleasure. In New Zealand, they have a sheep car wash situation. So bring your sheep, wash your car, get it all done. Listen to some musical theatre. Brilliant.
Would all those colors on the front? Because when I went to England, now we're going off on a tangent for the sheep. They have the colors on the front of their chests, don't they? Sometimes.
Yes, they do. They've got So there's. I don't know what those mean.
Would it wash off? That would be my question. I don't know if it'd be sustainable for the car wash now.
We'd have to ask. Oh, we'd have to ask my mum. She has people come and shear her sheep occasionally. Nice. So I will ask her to ask one of the shearers.
Please get to. Actually, I would be very curious. We can do that off air at some point. Now back to the.
But, so back to if you want to choose something to audition with.
Yeah.
So you can listen to these things in the background, or you can search for something particular. And you can search by genre, style, whether something is a comedy or dramatic or a little bit of both. We've also got Christmas songs for younger audiences. So there's a huge range of things that you can search by, including your voice type. And you just pop on there, and so every song has a good quality demo that you can just listen to, and you listen to all the way through as well. There's none of this like it cuts out sort of, a quarter of the way through it. You can listen to the full demo all the way through, and then most of the songs now also have backing tracks, because obviously during lockdown this was a problem. Like people couldn't get together with an accompanist to rehearse. So very quickly I figured out, we need backing tracks. After I'd launched the site, of course, I was like, yay, sheet music is available. And everyone was like, yay, none of us can do it. It's like, so we figured that out quickly, and most of the songs now do have backing tracks. Some don't, but I think the other nice thing about the site is that you can directly contact the composers. Like they do get back to you. And so if, for example, there's one which doesn't have a backing track, get in touch with the composer and they might be able to provide one for you, or like send something, do something up for you and pop it through. Cool. So that's the way to do it. And then, just when you do the audition, just say, this is a new musical, like from this writer. And it's about getting our names out there really, and building an audience for producers, casting directors, just so it starts sort of, slowly permeating the ecosystem of the ecology of new musical theatre.
Yeah, there's only so many times on an audition panel you can hear Phantom or any of those standards. But
it's an advantage, isn't it, in a way? Like to be saying something different.
Yes,
it sets you apart. I mean, the number of times I've sat on audition panels and just been bored to tears by the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah, it just gives you a chance to bring something new, and especially when it's something. You can't compare really one of our songs with the definitive version of it, because it hasn't been done yet.
Yeah.
And so therefore, like, your audition panel members are not sitting there going like, well, she's good, but she's not as good as Ruthie Henshaw. Ruthie did it better. And until Ruthie Henshaw does one of ours, then obviously we'll keep on going. I'll eat my words.
So how do you choose the people? I know at the beginning you obviously had friends and people you'd worked with and people you knew, but as I know, you get to a point where now you have to expand beyond that. How did that work? How's that worked for you?
Yeah, well, it's it is a difficult one actually, because you want to make sure that the site remains like it's high quality work that when people go there, they're guaranteed, no matter what song they choose, that it's going to be a banger. And in that way, I did two things. One was restrict the number of people who were on the site at first, and also restrict the number of songs they could put up. So each writer could only put up 10 songs, which sort of meant that you have to put up your 10 best, like your 10 top sort of, and for that audience as well, for the cabaret concert audience. And in terms of new writers, so I will be expanding slightly in the new year. I have had a lot of requests from other UK writers as to how they can get involved. And what I'm looking for really is people who are serious about the art form, who have had at least a beginning of a track record of, you have to have had a show on, at least one show on in a professional venue, performed by a professional cast, because and I hope it's not being sort of quite dictatorial or anything like that, but I feel like when you've done that, you have demonstrated a commitment to your art, because everyone knows how hard it is to get a professional show on. Someone somewhere, even if it's you, has put a considerable amount of money into your project in order to get it to that level.
Sure.
And also you've probably, by the time you get your first professional show on, you've probably done a few amateur shows as well, and written, so you know a bit more about your craft. So there will be a selection process and sort of a benchmark level of sort of expertise required from people coming in. But I'll be reviewing. So I have a contact form on the site if you wish to be involved in it, and you fill that in. That'll come through to me, and in the new year I'll be reviewing that, and either saying, "Great, you're fantastic. We want you on the site," or saying, "This is great stuff. Keep going. Send us stuff. In a little more time when you've had a bit more stuff on, a bit more experience, and but keep coming back to us because we think you've got something there." The other thing that I'm sort of constantly aware of is the need for equality in representation as well. Because as you are aware, musical theatre, well, certainly in the UK, is like predominantly the produced shows are dominated by white males. And so it's very important for me to try and give an opportunity to widen that with people from diverse backgrounds and diverse genders, that they also get an opportunity and people see how great they are. So that's another thing that I will be considering as we go forward too.
Yeah, you have the unenviable task of listening to all these new shows, listening to all this great music, and then having to be the executioner and judge, right?
Yeah.
And it's so hard because I know when I listen to shows, what I like isn't necessarily what you like and what they like, and it's so hard.
It is.
I do not envy you.
Well, it's like, I've always hated the idea of gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And now I've found myself being one.
Yeah.
And it's like I kind of hate myself a bit.
But it is a necessary evil, to be honest. You do have to.
It is, absolutely. And I think, it's the same as when you're doing, as a performer, I was on the other side of audition panels. I was auditioning. And then, and I'd always be like, I can't believe I didn't get that part. Unbelievable. How could I not see the talent? I put so much into that. And then you sit on the other side of the panel first time and you go like, oh, no, it's not because he's not good. It's just because he's not right. Yeah. And I think it's similar with like show making. As a writer, you sit there and you enter these competitions and things and you're going like, why didn't I win? Why didn't I win? Why aren't I part of that? Why haven't I been selected for this or that? And now sitting on the other side of it, you see all of the myriad different reasons as to why someone might not be selected. And often it's got very little to do with potential ability sometimes.
Exactly.
So
It's this type of thing is for a sports analogy, it's golf, because it's you against the course, and you could play the perfect game, but somebody else just happens to play a little bit better, and you have no control over that. And that's the thing with a lot of actors and writers and artists in general. They got to realize it's not you. You've done everything you could, and just move on to the next thing. So,
and I think, yes, you're absolutely right. As soon as you do realize that you should just keep playing the course, like that's what you should do. You should just keep doing your best on the course. And sometimes, what I do love about the competition element is that you do, if you play the course and then someone else comes along and they play it a little bit better, and you're like, god damn, I need to work a little bit harder. Next time I'm going to work a little bit harder. I'm going to make it a bit better. And I have rivalries with lots of the guys on New UK Musicals. I think I'm constantly taking the piss out of them in the way that I was like, I'm going to destroy you with my next show. And it's like, and it is, we make each other better. We make each other better.
For sure. And then there's the whole aspect of uncontrollable things. In golf, it could be wind. In real life, you could just have a tickle in your throat or whatever, right? And that's the one thing I try to pass along to like students that I work with and younger people is just let it go, right? It's move on to the next thing. You did your best. There's things you can't control. So.
Completely. Yeah.
So when you contacted me, you in the first place about a month and a bit ago, it was about a competition that you've been holding in December of 2020, because this is going to air probably in January of 21 or just after that, or whenever people are listening. So tell us a little bit about this competition you've been holding.
So one of the ways I wanted to sort of promote the site is by giving people an incentive to go to it and to choose the songs on it. So it's quite simple. You go on the site, you buy a song, you learn the song, you record yourself singing the song, video performance, like it can be just your phone, doesn't have to be fancy, and then you put the link up on the Facebook group. And with this one, we're collaborating with 10 Glow, which is a musical theatre site, and you also put your video up on there. And then, so there's two different ways of judging. Basically, there's a panel of industry judges, and then there is also an audience award prize for the person with the most likes, loves on the Facebook group of their video. Because one of the main points of the competition is to widen the reach and let as many people as possible know about the songs and the site and the performers singing them. So that's what it's always been about. But this is our third competition now that we've done since June.
Oh, nice.
And they've been great. It's just a really nice little community is built up. And we're collaborating with Adam Lenson Productions, Sing Space, Perfect Pitch Musicals, and 10 Glow on this one. So it's our first time that we've collaborated with anyone except for Adam Lenson, who we collaborate with everything on. So it's just about getting the word out and also getting a bit of money to the writers, for Christmas time, because with our site we have 100% of sales go to the writers, apart from like the 2.5% that Square takes for etc. And then so it's a subscription site, so the writers pay £5 a month to be on the site, and they pay an initial setup fee of £10, which is just a one-off thing, and then whatever they sell they keep. So it's been nice to actually reconcile it every 3 months or so, and it's been nice to send people real money for their work. So it's I think people going to the site know that they are supporting, like directly, they are supporting writers. It's not going to a publishing company. It's not going anywhere else other than to the coffee pockets of the writers.
Nice. As a writer, we say thank you for putting this together. Um, because, again, did you have any type of business background, or did you have to build this from the ground up, learning everything?
Learning everything. I think, it was one of the things that I have learnt the most about musical theatre, about being a writer. And it's mainly, I learnt it from my writing partner for Benjamin Button, a fellow called Jethro Compton,
Mhm.
who actually started life as a producer and became a writer through producing, and is still a producer. But obviously, producers are businessmen, business people. They know that game. And when I met Jethro and I was working with Jethro, I sort of learnt about the huge advantages that you could get as a writer by becoming more business savvy and business aware. Because as we all know, it's not just about how good you are, it's about who is hearing your music. It's about how many people are hearing it. It's about, where it's getting on, and who's doing it and who's interested in it. And that's business. It's not writing, it's business.
Yeah.
And so the whole experience of this has given me a lot more confidence, I think, in terms of marketing and promoting. Like many people, I find it difficult, like many writers in particular. I don't know if you find this, but I feel uncomfortable promoting myself, like promoting my songs sort of constantly, etc. I find that quite soul destroying and a bit sad. So I thought, well, this is a way in which I can promote other people. Like, if I feel uncomfortable about promoting myself, then why don't I promote someone else? And then in turn, they will promote me, and and etc. And the circle goes on. And I think, having someone else coming and saying, "Oh, this guy's really good," is always better than you going up to a person saying, "Hey, I'm really good," as much as that can be useful sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. As an artist, a lot of artists, they know the word show business and they love the word show, but forget about the word business. And it takes people like yourself and I'll say myself as well, who, we have the passion for both and to help. Because artists, I love them, but they aren't always the best at the business part, right?
Yeah.
And need a nudge. Because I've reached out for the radio station to so many artists,
Yeah.
and a lot of them just don't get back to you, or don't understand what you're trying to do, or any of that stuff. Don't know how to
Right.
market. So
Yeah.
look, good on you for helping. and
Well, thank you for helping. I think it is such an important thing, isn't it? That the visibility, raising the visibility. I've had in my head this little circle in my mind of, you raise the visibility. Producers are saying it's too risky to put money into new musical theatre.
Mhm.
So we raise the visibility of the new musical writers. More people become aware of it. Audiences become aware of it. Audiences buy tickets, and it becomes less risky. So producers will then take more risks on it, and like it's a circle, but it has to start somewhere.
I know.
And unfortunately, I think there are a lot of people like yourself, people in America, and people over here in the UK who are starting that ball rolling, and just beginning the circle. So it's a long game. It's going to be a long game, I think. But in 10 years, I think you'll see a sort of ecological sea change in the new musical theatre scene, certainly in the UK, as there has already been in Canada and America.
Cool. So what do you see for yourself moving forward in 2020? Is there anything exciting coming with the website, with yourself, with writing, anything like that? What's in the future for Darren?
Oh God, who knows? I mean, if 2020 has taught me anything, it's like, don't try and predict the future, Darren. Well, I'm hoping that a couple of the shows that were sort of cancelled and postponed will come back. We'll have an opportunity. So The Wicker Husband, which I've been working on for sort of 8 years with Rhys Jennings and Charlie Westenra, was cancelled. It was closed on its opening night at the Watermill on March 16th. And we want to bring that back because it is that was a real baby of ours. and to have her aborted so young was just horrible. So there is talk to bring that back. There's also future things in the pipeline for the Curious Case of Benjamin Button with Jethro, and so that's all still bubbling away in the background. There's a couple of other shows that I've got sort of had ideas for during lockdown, and in particular Turing, which I'm doing for, it's under commission from ALP Musicals, which I'm doing with Reese, is we'll be developing that throughout the year, and hopefully we'll have a production sort of 22, 23, I think. So that's my writing world. And then in this world, in the new UK musicals, I just hope to keep growing it, and to we're still definitely getting most of our purchases from UK people, and we'd love to be able to get it out to the American and the Canadian, Australian, New Zealand, those markets, and get people interested in our work as well. So that's what I'll be pushing. Yeah.
Nice. Well, Darren, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today, and introducing a lot of people to the website. So what's the website again?
Website is www.newukmusicals.co.uk.
Cool. So I will make sure that is in our social media feeds and things like that, so people can check it out. So, but before we finish, I always ask 3 questions of all my guests. Now, there's no right or wrong answer, but there's some interesting answers at the end. So, question number 1. What creator or team within musical theater has had a great influence on you? Now, this could be a composer, a lyricist, a director, producer, actor, even stage manager. They could be famous, not famous, like maybe a teacher, someone that's, had a great influence on you. I know it's not Sondheim until you were in your 30s. So
yes. I would say, I'm going to say one of my sort of colleagues, contemporaries, a fellow called Tim Connor. Tim Connor and Susanna Pierce is his writing partner. He's one of the ones he's one of my competitors. He's one of the guys who drives me to be better. Whenever I hear a Tim Connor song, I know it's a Tim Connor song, and I know it's going to be brilliant, and I know it's going to be extraordinary, and it's going to be moving, and it's going to be funny, and it's going to be touching, and the structure of his shows is going to be very clever and smart and well thought through, and Sue's like dramaturgy and book work is going to be, biting and moving and emotional. And I think, like, when I met them, that was about sort of 7 or 8 years ago, I think. I took a lot from them. I took a lot into my own work. If I could write like them, I'd be a very happy man.
Nice. Well, that is a correct answer. You can't go wrong with that answer. It's especially correct for them because they heard you say this. All right. Question number 2. Now, you've got the competition going on. If you were to enter, what song would you sing?
Oh, man, that's really, really hard.
I know.
I would say,
because I know you got to narrow it down to your voice type and all that sort of thing. So that excludes a lot of songs, and that's not anything. So you got to think about that.
I was going to sing a song from it. I would probably do, I think I would do Anna by Tim Connor. I think, because it's a proper baritone song. Yeah. It's a classic baritone song, and it's beautiful. Nigel Richards is singing it on the demo, and it's just, it's stunning. It's an amazing piece. Yeah.
So I guess everybody will have to go to the website now and check it out and hear that song. So
absolutely.
Perfect. All right, another correct answer. All right, question number 3. Food in the theater or cell phones in the theater? Which is worse?
Cell phones.
And why?
Cell phones. Absolutely cell phones. I think it's like, with food, you can still concentrate a lot. You can concentrate while you're eating. But as soon as the phone is on, not only do you lose concentration, but everyone else goes like, shut up! Like, turn it off, and it can ruin any moment.
Yeah.
Like, and it can ruin an entire experience if it happens at the wrong time. Whereas food, it can be a bit annoying, but it's also like, necessary for survival. So if people are super hungry, then you've got to eat. I'd rather you be, I'd rather you eat than be hangry. You know.
I will give you half a point because the correct answer is neither.
Absolutely,
Neither.
absolutely, very good.
So that is 2.5 out of 3. There is a prize. So
That is bad.
Darren, again, thank you so much for coming on, talking to us, telling us a little bit more about yourself and the website. And definitely everybody should check it out.
Thank you very much.
No problem. All right. We have just been speaking with the founder of the website New UK Musicals, Darren Clark. Tune in next week as we'll be talking to another guest or guests about their life, love, and passion. That is musical theater. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanoff, and I will see you when I see you.